on, world? Welcome to another episode of We on the Laughs with Tyson Paul. I'm your host, Tyson Paul, here, coming out with another week of comedy and great interviews with some of our favorite comic personalities and comedians. This week, we have an extra special guest. This guy is living in the LA area right now. He's currently, if you watch Showtime right now, he's currently on the Comedy Store documentary. And he's also been a guest on the Joe Rogan podcast. And he is the winner of season 2 Roast Battle. And he also has a podcast right now called Buddies. Give it up for the very funny and very talented Mr. Frank Castillo. What's going on, Frank?
What up, man? Thanks for having me.
Oh man, it's an honor to have you here today talking. Everything going well for you guys right now?
Yeah, it's not too bad in Los Angeles. Mostly my days have consisted of just doing a lot of mushrooms and smoking a bunch of weed. So
the LA dream.
Yeah, it could be worse. It could be a lot worse.
it could be worse. Yeah, it could be worse. You could not have any mushrooms.
Yeah, no, you could not have any mushrooms.
Yeah. Have you ever had a day where you didn't have any drug paraphernalia?
Yeah, it's a bad day. It is. I never feel poor until I don't have any drugs.
Yeah.
Then I've hit rock bottom.
That's officially like, man, I gotta get out here and start doing some favors.
I gotta start hustling. Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta tell the wife and kids I gotta go on the corner again and stuff. Mm-hmm. So that's cool. Okay, so let's just get started by have you seen anything funny lately?
Have I seen anything funny lately? Man, you asked me that question like the day after I did a bunch of mushrooms. So like I did a bunch of microdose mushrooms. Do you know what those are?
No.
Are you familiar with micro? So you can take like a regular amount of mushrooms. It's like usually people split like an eighth, which is like 3.5. So people take micro doses, which are like 0.2s or like 0.7s, and that's like enough to like kind of. You're not like tripping. You're just kind of like in a funny, goofy mood. You're like everything's kind of like, everything's hilarious to you.
Yeah.
Well, I took like 3 microdoses, and then the microdose turned into like a regular dose, and then I was tripping balls at dinner at a Maggiano's, and it was a problem. Like I was fucking blasted in between the entree and the dessert. I was just feeling it, and my wife is looking at me, and I just start sweating profusely, and she was like, "Is everything okay?" I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm just working through it right now." And
did she know? Did she know you actually took mushrooms before you?
I told her, yeah. I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna take a little mushroom. Is that okay?" She was like, "Yeah, that's fine." My wife's very supportive.
Yeah, you gotta have one of those. Gotta have a supportive drug habit.
Absolutely. So. The funny thing I saw was the ground for sure. It was moving a lot, and I was very. I was just giggling.
Now I'm not like a drug user actually per se. Like,
okay.
I remember the last podcast we did. I told another guy, I was like, yeah, like I don't really do drugs because I feel like if I did, I'd be the first person to die the first attempt. Like I'd be that dude, like that die on the first attempt. So when you were sitting there tripping balls at the place, like describe like how that was.
Oh man, it was it was great for like the first 30 minutes of the meal. Like it was just sitting. We're outside. It was nice. It was nature. The lights were all on. But then like dusk to set, and then in between the time it took for it to get dark and then the patio lights to turn on, it was like 5 minutes of just really darkness, and it like just got to me. I was just all of a sudden just questioning everything, all of my confidence, every decision I've made in my life. My wife was just trying to enjoy her raviolis, and I'm over here just battling demons from high school. I was fucking tripping out. And yeah, that's when she looked up, and I'm just drenched in sweat, and she's like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "Sorry, She's like, "Do we need to leave?" And I'm like, "No, we're good now. I'm fine. I'm good. But it was crazy because I was like just sitting there. I was like, "Oh fuck," because it just I heard like a ringing in my ears, and like everything just started getting like really dark. But it was just the sun setting. That's all it was. So, but to me, it was like, "Oh no!" And then the lights came on, and everything was fine.
You're like, I'm paranoid as shit right now. And then
Yeah.
I know you tried to play it off. You had to
Oh
play it.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I just like it, I like just crept my hand over the table and just held my wife's hand, and I was just holding on for dear life. But like to her, she thought I was being like romantic because she thought I was just like trying to hold her hand at dinner because it was just like a sweet moment between us. But in my head, I was just like, "Save me."
She was like, "Look at Babe trying to be nice," and he was like, "God, I'm tripping out."
Yeah, it's like this. Yeah, it felt like fucking in Get Out with the teacup. You know what I mean? Where he's just like
Yeah,
he's just
yeah.
paralyzed. Yeah, it was
He's
like
just
that.
he's just in the seat. Like, what the fuck is
Yeah.
going on?
I was like, ah! Yeah, it was bad.
Oh no. Okay. All
A
right.
lot of
So,
fun though. I'd do it again.
well, obviously, obviously, it seems like a lot of fun. I wouldn't, but if you want to, like, just fill me in, text me, and then just let me know details and stuff, and I'll just live vicariously through you and stuff. So that works. That works out. But let's get started in a little bit of the comedy. Like, just tell me some of your first memories of comedy. Not like when you started doing stand up. I'm talking about your first memories of comedy in general. Like, what are your first memories?
Oh, my father would listen to like the Howard Stern show when I was growing up, and a lot of he watched a lot of Insomniac with David Tell. It's probably like the earliest memories I had. Um, yeah, that show was like everything. I just remember staying up late and being like, I don't know what this is, but this is hysterical.
Yeah,
That was kind of like the first time I was really, um, shown what comedy was.
yeah. I remember staying up late watching Dave Insomniac show, and like it was weird because like you didn't even want to really see the comedy. You just wanted to see what drunk bar he was at and all the weirdos in it. You just, like
Yeah, you
this is
fell in love with it.
comedy. Yeah. So and oh, do you remember the tour? The Insomniac tour that they had?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, that was probably that goes right up there with Kings of Comedy, actually.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That goes like because it was and then it was out at the same time, so it was actually kind of weird. Like it like because I'm a black comedian, so like usually they just think we only know like black like comedy specials or like we only think like Kings of Comedy is the greatest thing, but actually the Insomniac tour at that time was like right up there with them. It was just neck and
Yeah,
neck. So
yeah,
that I understand that. I understand
yeah.
all the early days and stuff. Now you live in LA right now, but you grew up actually in the Bay Area. Like,
Mm-hmm.
tell us a little bit about growing up in San Jose.
Oh, I grew up in East Side San Jose with like my grandparents and my dad and my mom. My
All in
parents
the
are
same house?
divorced. No, my parents are divorced, so I was like back and forth a lot. But I
Okay.
mostly would stay with my grandparents during the summer because my parents worked.
Uh,
I also went to school right by my grandparents' house, so like I was always by my grandparents' house.
mhm.
And every summer we had a lot of all of our aunts and uncles would drop all of the kids off at our grandparents' house. It was like fucking summer camp. So
Yeah,
it was just like
typical,
8 of us.
typical,
Yeah,
typical ghetto stuff.
yeah.
Everybody get
But
dropped off at grandma's house.
it was fun, and it was I think that really attributed towards like my comedy, especially like my family, and
Mhm.
my family's all fucking funny, and it was just a lot of like survival of the fittest. You had to be the loudest one or the funniest one to get any kind of attention.
Mhm.
Um, all my cousins were just bigger than me. I was the middle one. My grandmother loved me, so I was fucking absolutely adored. So I got picked on too for that. But I loved growing up in San Jose because it, was a melting pot of cultures.
Mhm.
We had everybody. There was Korean people, there's Vietnamese people, there's black people, there's Asian people. It was just there was really just three races. No, there was like Indian people. It was great to see all the different kinds of people you had. And I was a fat kid growing up, so I loved food. Um, but it was nice growing up in that melting pot because you kind of see things a little bit differently. The vibe's a little different. I moved to Temecula when I was in my junior year of high school, and that was like a very conservative military town. They had like a border patrol
Uh,
station, so it was
yeah.
like a huge change. It was very conservative. So
What
I've
what made you guys what made you move to Temecula in high
uh,
school?
my mom remarried, so then I moved. I moved with my mom and stuff. Yeah, yeah. So,
Oh.
but I appreciate going there because it really, it also helped shape my view and really that's where I started comedy. So starting comedy in a place that's foreign to me and extremely conservative and against everything I usually, my most of my views, it was it was interesting.
Okay, so and you started comedy in Temecula. How did you even just come across like, you know what, this is something I want to do, and in a town that you like actually just barely moved to, like.
um, it was they had open mics and there was a comedy club at Pachanga Resort and Casino, and I worked
Mm,
at the casino. So I
mm,
was doing the open mics, and then the casino had like a comedy contest. So then I kind of started getting to know the talent booker there and the manager there, and then he started putting me up. And then I would start to go up there on the weekends, and then I would do the open mics around town, and then I started going to San Diego for comedy, and then I'd make trips to LA for like spots and shows,
mm,
whenever I could get them. And that's when I started learning about the store, and then that's kind of like where I decided was like, oh, maybe I should just move to LA. And
oh,
I would meet comics at Pachanga, like headliners that were passed at the comedy store, and they would tell me, they're
mm,
like, are you going to be like the big fish in this pond here and never
mm,
move, or are you gonna like take it seriously and make the jump?
mm. Yeah, that's always that crossroads that you get early on being like a comic. You because it's always you got to move to a bigger. You feel like you got to move to a bigger city. I mean, now it's a little bit different now that social media is kind of like a major thing now that you know people comics can basically be at home and be famous and
Mm-hmm.
stuff and not have to leave their hometown. But I'm saying when you started. Um, and like social media hadn't really hit yet, so it was still like pretty much like kind of like old wrestling like territories, like, oh, like
Mm-hmm.
if you want to make it big you gotta go over here. And you being in Temecula, because the funny thing about that casino that you worked at, they used to shoot a comedy show there, like
Yeah,
a
laughs
different
on
show, like,
Fox.
yeah, Laughs on Fox. And yeah, I remember that because I remember seeing like a bunch of comics I knew on there. And the funny thing is, like, okay, so were you actually starting to do comedy while Laughs was on, or was it
Yeah,
already off?
absolutely. They were still doing the show when I was doing stand up around there. Yeah.
And did you ever audition for Laughs or
No.
not yet?
No, no, not yet. I don't think they even like considered me.
Ah, you never know. You never know.
Yeah,
You never know.
absolutely. But that's also kind of like the fun thing is that that's kind of the thing I've always liked about like my career is that you know I like that question is like whenever people are like, have you done JFL yet? And I'm just like, no. And they're
No.
just like, really? Why not? And I was like, I don't know. And they're just like,
Nah,
don't
it's
you think
like
you
they
should have
just
got
never
an
booked
audition?
me.
I was like, I don't know. I keep just doing all the cool shit that I'm doing, and I'm
Yeah.
sure someone will say something. But if they don't, it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
nah,
thing
that.
is like I stopped tripping off stuff like that once
Mm,
like and I think Rogan and those guys are the ones that really kind of started drilling it into me was like,
mm,
once you come up through the store in that system
mm,
and then you get like the validation from like Rogan or like I got to open up for Chappelle
mm,
and I've gotten to just do all these dope things and gotten validation for all the comics I look up to anyways. So when it gets to points where like the traditional industry stuff doesn't look at you or doesn't touch you in a certain way, I'm just kind of like, all right, whatever. The people that matter the most to me validated me, so I'm just gonna
mm.
keep being good at what I do. Yeah, like I didn't get JFL one year, and I was like really bummed about it. And then I like thought about it, and I was like, oh, you know what? Just for Laughs would have been the least interesting thing that I did this year. And then it
Mm.
kind of got to a point where it's like, oh, it's steadily those festivals steadily become the least interesting things you've done. And then you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm doing dope shit anyways. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with the competitiveness that like comics have in a weird way, because like a lot of us are coming from like different areas or different forms of sports, or like we played sports in high school or elementary, so we have that competitive spirit that like we feel like we definitely need to get certain places and stuff. And then like somewhere like a festival like JFL, I know a lot of people that like audition for it and feel like that they should have been on there like years ago and just never got
Hmm.
picked. And then they'll
Yep.
see somebody else on the show and be like if this person made it, how did this person make it?
Yeah.
I'm way funnier than this guy.
Yeah.
Like I'm
And
way funnier than this.
and most of the time it's true, and it's just
Hmm.
it's the industry making bad decisions, or two, not really doing the due diligence, and then it's just someone's favor, you know.
Yeah.
um yeah, it's always like one or two people that it's like, oh, they deserve to be there, and then the rest are like favors or people where you're like, oh, that's they think that person's gonna be it, you know, and then in reality it's not, you know. They're like, this person doing a funny accent is the next coming of uh alt comedy, and then it's like, no, they're just wasting everyone's time, as Yasir
Yeah.
Lester put it in his Vulture article, and it was amazing.
Yeah. Well, I always see it as because I know I've tried out for things and like just flat out like got rejected. But I swore I thought like I was made for that show or that festival, and really it just comes down to, I mean, festivals are festivals, or TV shows, but really the audience is everything that matters. Like,
Hmm.
because I remember early or like in the middle of my career doing comedy, I didn't like doing tournaments. I didn't like doing tournaments or competitions and stuff because I felt like, one, they were always rigged,
Yeah.
and there, it basically showed favoritism. But then I also learned that, like, okay, actually you can use these competitions and festival auditions to your advantage because, one, there's more than likely going to be like a larger crowd than you usually have at any other comedy show. So even if you don't make it, at least if you win the crowd over, like
Yeah.
you're gonna at least get like 2 or 3 or 4 or maybe 20 or 40 more fans and stuff, or people are
Yeah.
gonna recognize you. And then
Absolutely.
also you're gonna learn a lot from it because you'll see like other guys there. Like there's guys I thought like, okay, like I know I'm funnier than this guy, and then he came on stage and like basically killed it. I was like, oh
It's
man, I got
consistency. It's a
got
lot of
work to
things. Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
And then you get a free tape. You get a free
Hmm.
tape that you can chop that around or chop it up and edit it to where, like, okay, I didn't do a solid like 10 minutes, but I did a solid 3, and usually that's what I need to submit for other things. So I can just basically cut this down to a 3-minute set, and nobody will really know that I like only had like a good 4 minutes and then tanked
Hmm.
the other 6.
Yeah.
But I mean, I always feel like there's like ways like that you can make the best out of any situation in comedy, especially like when it comes to competitions and and festivals and all that. So I mean, they're nice. They're not gonna be wrong. I was like, I wish I was picked for everything I ever did and stuff. But
Hmm.
I also made sure that I like learned something from it, or at least like profited in some way from it, from the
Yeah.
experience and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're gonna go. Okay. So okay, the Comedy Store. Okay.
Hmm.
So this is a big because this is a big part of your career. Okay, but we're gonna start at the beginning. How did you even just how did you just know, like, okay, I need to move to LA, and then this is the Comedy Store is where I need to be?
I had had heard about the famous club and Mitzi and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and then I would
Mm-hmm.
like look online and kind of studied about it.
Mm-hmm.
And once I had like heard about it and learned that it's the only place in LA that will take someone from the street. You could just be a person from the street, and then they'll develop you as a comic as long as you're funny.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, I think, one of the only true systems that's still alive today,
Yeah.
because they really only pick funny people. You
Mm-hmm.
have to be funny. Like everyone gets a chance, and you just got to capitalize on it when it comes. Like I did the open mic for about a year and a half. Signed
Mm.
up every Monday.
That had to be
Signed up,
brutal.
yeah, every Monday. Signed up. Didn't get up.
This
Probably got
no
up like
days
eight
off.
times, maybe. Yeah.
8 times out of
And
how many times?
a year and a half of signing up every single week. So what, 50, 50 70 something, probably 30, 80.
Yeah.
I'm bad at math.
Okay, yeah, it's less than 5%.
Yes. Um,
But yeah, no, because I remember when I first started, like I would drive to LA from Central California and just to stand in line for like 5 or 6 hours
mhm.
just to do a potluck. And I wasn't even aware of the potluck system yet. I just thought like, okay, if I stand in line long enough, they're definitely gonna let me on stage, and they're definitely gonna perform at least
Yeah.
like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Not the case at all. Like
Nope.
there's been many a times where I literally drove like almost 2 hours, stood in line for about 3 or 4 hours, didn't get picked, had to drive
Yep.
back and
Yep.
stuff. I was like,
Yeah.
I was so disappointed I was so disappointed, and then on the car right back, I always told myself I'm never going back. Went back the
Yep.
next week.
Yep. And it's designed that way to shake the people who want it and don't. And
Yeah.
it was like, I remember being there and I was like always signing up, and it's funny because the people that would tell me that being a door guy is not the way, it's not the path, it's not going to pay off, that it's like, it's better to become friends with these headliners, you know what I mean, than try to become their feature or whatever, which some people did, and now they're stuck being someone's feature, or they get accused of something and then now they don't get to work. But yeah, so in between the year and a half of me doing the store, trying to get up on potluck, and all the times I did get up and then did well, and then the talent coordinator knew who I was, the other door guys knew who I was. At the time, at the same time, I was also doing roast battle, which was just not the show yet. It was just like a segment at an open mic in the belly room at the store. So it hadn't fully become the roast battle, and I beat a few door guys. So I was doing well on the potluck. I had beaten a few door guys that were pretty good too at the time, that had good standing at the store. So when someone got fired and they were looking for a new guy, they offered me the job. My name had been mentioned. So when a new door guy opening happens, it's kind of a community and a collective decision that's made to hire this person. Because one, they want to hire a door guy that's funny. They also want to hire a person they want to be around all the time. So not only like can you do the job, but can you also be funny? So
He
when I
says
got,
this is not a normal job
it's
interview
not.
process.
Yeah, it isn't. And
I
so
thought you had to fill out. I thought you filled out an application and
nope,
like put
you get
down some of
picked.
your.
Yep, you get picked,
Oh
and a lot
wow.
of people get really like rubbed the wrong way. That's why like certain comics will be like, "Fuck that place," blah blah blah, or like they don't like women, all that jazz. It's like, no, we hire women. We only hire the funny ones.
Yeah.
We hire Mexicans, but they only hire the funny ones. They hire black people. They only hire the funny ones. Like
Oh yeah.
that's
That's
the
true.
thing about the stores. They only hire the funny people. They only hire funny people, and
Yeah.
but even the ones that do get hired, they still don't make it to paid regular. So once you become a door guy, that was like the big moment for me. Is like I knew moving to LA, I knew I wanted to work at the store because I wanted to be a door guy. Because I knew if I became a door guy, you not only work at the club, but you also get stage time. So when headliners see you as a door guy and you have that shirt on, they treat you different because they know you've been vetted. So it's like when Rogan sees you with the shirt, he's like, "Hey, what's up? How you do?" You know what I mean? Like people, they know the journey you're on and they know what the steps are. So they see you and they kind of pay attention. There's like Ian Edwards. I remember I went to introduce myself and I was like, "I'm a door guy," and he was like, "Yeah, I don't learn people's names until 4 years into it." He was like, "I don't want to make friends with people that I'm not going to know in 4 years." And I was like, "You know
Yeah.
what? That's true." So it's
I
like after
definitely, I
5,
definitely feel that. I definitely feel
yeah,
like the door guy, because I've been to the comedy store and I never even knew that the door guy like is like picked. But I know like there's a lot of people that treated the door guy like shit.
yeah,
Like,
and that's the biggest mistake they make. A lot of the
yeah,
headliners treat them very well, but other comics trying to get in, they think the guys that are working there are just guys, but those are comics on the way up. You know what I mean? Like if this is
yeah,
college, those are your RAs. So
yeah.
I've seen a lot of comics
Oh
be
yeah,
dicks to door guys and then be in the back with like a big headliner, the talent coordinator, and then the other door guys, and then they're just like in the circle, like, "Hey, what's up?" And then it's like, "Oh, this is the guy who was a fucking asshole to me 30
oh
minutes
yeah,
ago,"
yeah,
and they're just like,
definitely.
"What?" And then he's like, "Oh no, you don't understand." It's like, "No, no, you didn't understand. You thought I
Yeah.
was just a guy." My words
He said, "Oh,
respected.
you thought I just work here. You thought I was,
Yeah, yeah,
I got a shirt on. I just,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
was." treat this guy like a piece of shit guy. That's what I get
Yeah,
paid to do
yeah.
here. No, but
But being oh good.
backtrack for a second. I was like,
Yeah.
backtrack for a second. Okay, when you first moved to LA and stuff, how did you live? Because LA's expensive.
I I had a job interview already with Starbucks. I knew I was like, I need to get 2 part-time jobs
Mm,
while I worked towards getting the store job. So I worked at
yeah.
the counter and then I worked at Starbucks. So I
Okay.
would work at Starbucks in the morning and then I'd work at the counter at night, which is a burger joint. And
Yeah.
then I would stack my days to where it was like I worked Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
Um, and then I would Friday, Saturday, and then I have Sunday, Mondays off because those are the 2 days you get the most mics in Los Angeles at the time.
Mm, yeah.
So then days I have off, nights I'd have off, I'd go just hang out at the store and watch comedy. And then the days I had off, I'd hit just mics all the time, like 7 mics and 8 mics in a night. Monday, I would do this thing called Monday mic runs where most I did was 9 in a night, but I would do 7 to 8 every Monday because I was working 5 days in a row, like all the
Ooh.
time. So that's how, because it was like I knew I had to be financially stable
Yeah.
because you can't create good comedy if you're constantly stressed
Yeah.
about shit.
And then what was your living situation like? Did
I
you have
was
family already in LA?
I was when I moved to Los Angeles, I moved with a coworker from the casino. His name was Ryan Chartrand. That dude literally fronted the first year of us living in Los Angeles.
Shout out to
He was
Ryan.
the greatest dude in the world. And I still talk to that dude all the time, and he's so happy that I'm successful now because he was like, it's money well spent. But yeah,
Mm,
and then after that, I basically couch surfed with some other comics. I
mm,
like watched a rundown house for a little bit for a realtor company. I was basically like living in a rundown house, but like making sure it didn't catch on fire. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
while they remodeled it and shit. So I saved
Yeah.
money that way. And then I eventually got a place with me and my now wife, then girlfriend.
Mm. Oh man, I could only imagine like you taking your girlfriend to a rundown house. Like, man, I live here.
She was
She's
down,
like,
dog. She was
no.
into it. She was like, "This is the
Oh,
dream, baby."
oh, this is a keeper. This is a
Yeah.
keeper. Then that's
So
how I knew she was a keeper. I took her to a rundown
absolutely.
house, and she was fine with it.
Yeah. So when I was at the store, the time between the last time I got up on potluck and then when they offered me the job was about 3 months. So it
Mm,
was 3 months of like no kind of anything,
mm,
and then they offered me the job and it was amazing. I was like so excited. So when you get hired at the store, you basically just it's like working at a club, taking out the trash, running food,
yeah.
just bullshit, cleaning up throw
Mm,
up, all this parking cars, answering phones, just grunt work.
wow.
But you also get development spots every week. So you get to
Mm,
call in, they'll give you one development spot. You get to go up every Monday for at least 3 to 4 minutes.
mm,
And then you get to open up the main room shows, like some of the shows during the week for like 5 minutes. So
mm,
you can get a good amount of time. And then if you worked it to where you were really good with all the producers, they would toss you sets. So there'd be
mm,
nights where I worked at the club, but I also got up 3 or 4 times.
mm. Okay, so I think like a lot of people see the comedy store as because you weren't just working at the comedy store. I mean, you weren't just doing sets at the comedy store. You was also doing sets at other places. Because like being a door guy at the comedy store with those type of benefits also probably leads you to other possibilities at other clubs. Or is it the opposite where people like find out you're the door guy at the comedy store and then they don't want you to be anywhere else? Like don't come over
Um,
here.
it depends. Like I'll go to the. It's you know certain people. When I got the job at the store, certain people were very excited. Other people were very like, "Oh, now he thinks he's better than us," and it was kind of like, "No, I I don't think I'm better than anyone. I just worked really fucking hard to get this. You know what I mean? This is a goal
Yeah.
that I set for myself, and I got it. And it doesn't mean I'm better than anyone. It's just it's also it's like it's like getting into Harvard. That's what it
Mm,
was. Other people choose their own path. This is the path that I chose, and
yeah.
it's just I feel like it's just a little more. I don't know. It just not, I don't know if it means more, but it's just like there's a lineage. I was
Yeah.
so proud to wear this with the jacket, and the
Yeah.
fucking t-shirt. And it's just when I got the shirt and I was up on stage. I remember I was fucking around one night, and
Mm,
a comic pulled me aside and was like, "Just so you know, by getting this job, it means a lot. You
yeah.
every time you step on stage, you're also showing everybody that you are a Comedy Store comic and you're representing the name. You're also representing all the comics before you that wore that shirt, and all the comics that got their names on that wall. So it's like it means something when you're on stage. So like be fucking funny. And I was like, oh shit, okay. So like I try to like carry that.
So instead of saying it was like being accepted into Harvard, it's kind of like joining a fraternity, like an exclusive fraternity at Harvard, probably.
Yeah.
And
I joined the Skulls Club.
Yeah, there you go. You were a skull.
Yeah.
And
but like other clubs were like chill, like they were stoked. But also like there's this weird thing of like if I don't get in at another club, it's like that's fine. I have the store. This is home. This is home for me.
Yeah. Well, and so did that almost become like a kind of like a crutch in a way? Because I mean, like being comfortable, knowing that you're like going other places is like kind of like a struggle in itself because you're going to other places and people know that you work at the Comedy Store, so they automatically want you to bring the funny. But I mean, you being an employee at the Comedy Store, that also I can see like being a crutch because like
it can be because it can be because there's times where like people would just stay working at the store, like they'll just stay getting up at the store. So with me, it was like I also made sure to like balance working and getting up at the store and opening up for people on the road. So it was like I would get up at the store, but I'd also like do other shows around town, but I'd also get up at clubs in other cities, So like getting up at the Improv, I didn't really. If I got up, I got up. This is how it was. I wasn't stressed about going through the system at the Improv or the Laugh Factory because I'd already gone through the system at the store. So when like Rogan's doing Rogan and Friends at the Improv and I'm getting booked on it, I could care less if I'm in the smaller room or like in their development system. You know what I mean? Where it's like, all right, I have to go through your talent coordinator. Rogan's already booking me on this. Like, I'm pretty sure that was proof enough that I could do this, and I'm smashing. Like, it's like I don't need to keep going to this late night mic. I mean, I will do it, but it's not high on my priority list.
Okay, so now that you were a door guy, it kind of actually worked out in your favor because you actually got on to season 2 of Roast Battle. So I kind of want to know basically what that process was like, and then especially from you coming out of nowhere being the door guy, like how, like, did people take you seriously at first, or or this whole process just like a surprise to you?
It was not a lot of people took me seriously, and it was not a surprise to me. Because I've been doing it since the show started. So like by the time I got picked, I'd like 25 battles under my belt. Like I was just ready. And like Tony Hinchcliffe and a few other people were like, "Oh yeah, Frank's absolutely gonna win." Because I went undefeated when I first started doing this. Like I went 7-0 when this was first just a show, like in the belly room. So then when they gave me my chance to do the show, I feel like a lot of people just underestimated me and didn't prepare as well as they should have against me. And I was just like fucking trucking away, just writing my ass off, just really just fucking ready. So when I won, it was a huge deal because people were like blown away that the door guy at the store won. But it was like, yeah, I've been a part of the show since it started. And I won as a door guy, which was ridiculous because I was literally the night before I couldn't get my shift covered, so I was changing the marquee at the Comedy Store across the street from the House of Blues, which had my name on the marquee.
Oh, wow!
Yeah.
Talk about twist of fate. But okay, so you said you already had 25 roast battles under your belt. Okay, because the roast battle kind of actually like became a popular thing literally at the Comedy Store. Like, I mean, I know it's always been like roast battle, like roasting's been a popular like comedy genre for like since forever. I think like that's how most comics even like got their start.
Yeah,
but
dozens snapping on people. Yeah,
but you were there like right at the birth of like the phenomenon. So how did that even like come about? Like
it was Josh Martin and what's his name? It was Josh Martin and another comic. It was an open mic at the time, and they were gonna fight. And then Moses was like, "Hey, instead of
Like literally
fighting,
fist fight?
yeah, they were gonna fist fight.
Wow.
They were like, instead of fighting, how about you guys just write jokes about each other and come back next week?" And that's how it started. And it was just
Wow.
so funny and ridiculous that someone else was like, "I'll do this next week," and they're like, "All right, how about you doing that?" So it got to a point where like we just have an open mic, and then in the middle of it, two guys would just go up and talk shit about each other, and then it was just yeah, and then it like got to a point where like everyone was like, "Yo, can I do it next week? Can I do it next week?"
Like,
And then it just grew to the part where it got to the point where the open mic, everyone was just coming for that, and they would just sit at the open mic waiting for it to start, and then when the battles would start, everyone would die and think it was the funniest thing in the world, and then they'd go back to the open mic. But it got to the point where it was so full for the show that when it ended and went back to the open mic, people would just leave. So like they had to put the battles at the end of it because they were like, "Oh, we got to keep everybody," and then
yeah.
it just turned into this phenomenon where comics would come and hang out and watch people battle. This was before Ross, before anybody, and then it was just a fucking spectacle. It was just like an underground fight club that only comics really knew about. And I remember when the only real audience member was like the friend that I brought, and then it got to the point where the only audience members were people that friends brought, and then it got to the point where like, "Oh, let's sell tickets or let's do free tickets," and then those would sell out. And then we sold tickets, and then those would sell out, and then it just got to the point where it was packed every fucking night, dude. It was insane.
Yeah, no, like, cause I remember when roast battle like kind of like first started making a way like around like comedy like spots and just like regions and everything, and it was funny to me because like I never was really that big of a fan of the roast battles, like, because I mean, I wasn't a fan because it was, to me it was just like, oh yeah, it's just like bagging on people. I was like, people do this all the time. Like I don't get why everybody just all of a sudden is like hitching to this bandwagon and just like thinking it's the greatest thing ever. But then I think the reason why I wasn't really a big fan of it, but I wasn't a big fan of like performing at them. I was a big fan of watching them, was because it was just it was like the newest thing. It
It was like a
basically
sport.
took
It was
over.
weird.
Yeah,
It was like
yeah,
my
it took
father
over.
loved it. He
Yeah,
was like, because he's a big sports guy, so he was like, he's like, I love stand up, but this was like something I could watch and root for because you were like, and he loves
yeah,
talking shit, so it was like competitive shit talking, and he was just so
yeah,
into it. Like he had people he rooted for, he loved like, and it also made him appreciate writing. That's what
yeah,
it is. It's a joke writer showcase. I know so many people who got jobs off of it, off of like battles.
yeah,
I've got like people like it's so hard to get a big comic to come watch you do stand up. It's a
yeah.
lot easier to get a big comic to watch you shit talk someone.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Basically, like that was the funniest thing to me. Like when, cause I mean, if you ask most people about roast battle, they automatically just assume like Jeff Ross, like just came up with it one day and just
Mm-mm.
ran with it. When
Mm-mm.
really, like, it's just like the story you said, like two guys, like literally were gonna fight. Cause I mean, we've all been at an open mic where we see two comics almost like duke it out, and
Yeah.
nobody ever came up with the idea like, oh well, you guys should just write jokes about each other, come back, and winner of that just wins this argument. But okay, so you sat there. Like, how was? Okay, do you remember the first time you actually got on stage and did it, and it was televised?
Yeah. It was in the belly room. I went up against Greg Roque, who was a kid in a wheelchair, and yeah, I remember when I was very lucky because the first time that I was on TV was in the belly room at the Comedy Store, and that is exactly where we do the roast battle. So I was lucky enough to shoot my first TV appearance in a room that I'd gone up so many times already. So I was just already so comfortable that it
Yeah,
was like, oh, these cameras are just not. I just got to do what I normally do. Like I'm surrounded by all my friends and family, like, and all the comment. Like this is home. This is the safest place to do this.
and then what was it? What was it like? Oh, cause like I mean, I know you went through all the rounds. Cause I mean, we didn't, as fans, we didn't really get to see the inside stuff of the roast battles because okay, I was always led to believe that you guys just basically said whatever came to the top of your head, and then 3 guys came out and acted it out.
No.
That was nothing like that.
Yeah, we all write. So we all had like for the tournament. Usually for the regular show, like for the live show at the store, you usually have like a month, and then you have a month to write.
Okay.
TV, they gave us 2 weeks, and then for the tournament, it was 2 weeks for the first battle, and then 3 days for the second battle, and then you had I think another 2 days for the last battle.
And you knew who you were facing, right?
Yeah. So people they told you who you're facing like a few days before. So some people wrote for everybody. I took it a battle at a time. So I waited until I found out who I was battling, and then I started writing jokes.
Okay. And so like, and you can only talk about the person's like appearance, or you could just deep dive. Were you like a deep diver? It's like,
oh, dude, I deep
so
dived.
tell me about this.
So they also gave us money to pay writers too. So you were able to have a team. That's just because they were like, we want these jokes to be the best. So it was me, Pat Barker, and Dan Nolan. Those are like my best friends. They know my voice the most. So it was all 3 of us in a room, just writing jokes. We had pictures of everybody up on the wall. Like it looked like a serial killer's office. We were just just premises. We were just writing, rewriting, and we took it seriously. It was like it was a writer's room.
Yeah. Okay, actually now that you say it like that, I don't see how it just didn't evolve into like, roast team battles and stuff like that, where basically you had different countries and everything like that, basically roasting against each other, or like not countries but teams and everything, because like how you said, if you got to pick your own team and put it all together, like I don't see how.
I mean, that's how most that's how most roasts are, like the roasts of, it's like they have the writers for the roast, but then most people like have extra writers on the side that just help them put it together.
Okay. Now, did everybody? Okay, do you think everybody use writers, or do you think like a lot of people is just like kind of lackadaisical about it and just be?
Oh, which for roast battle or for roast battle? No, everyone wrote. Everyone had writers, or they everyone took it extremely seriously.
Okay, and then so you won, and you still worked at the Comedy Store. Like, how was that? How was that feeling? Because knowing that you won, and then also knowing that you still got to go to work.
It wasn't bad. It was like kind of a safety thing for me, because it was like, I was also going on the road on the weekend, so I was still making money, doing stand up. But it was also good to, I wanted to be a paid regular. For me, it was more beneficial to not quit, you know what I mean? Because winning roast battle doesn't solve all your problems, you know what I mean? Like, it don't give you, it's not like here's your career. Like, it just got more eyes on you. So it was nice to still be in the mix, because I still had everybody's numbers. I went from being a door guy at night to just working the day shift to having a more important role, because people would recognize me. They'd be like, "Hey, you're the kid," and I was like, "Yeah." And then I was like, "I gotta stop checking IDs. Fuck." So then I just basically became like the assistant to the talent coordinator. So like, people would text me their availability and stuff, and then I'd help make the lineups, which was great because it meant I could still be in the mix with everybody, but also like I could be not so like at the front of the store. I could be more of an important role. But that also had its pros and cons, because it was like now I'm just stuck in this spot making money, still doing stand up, but it's like quitting's the ultimate goal. Now it's like I don't work here and I get to just be a comic, which is what I've always wanted.
Yeah, and then I can also see you winning. I can see it as being a gift and a curse, like because you're always gonna be able to use that name credit as roast battle winner. But now, like, is it weird? Like, did you ever have the moment where people were just like, I really just want to see you like roast people? That's it.
Not really, because I still do. Like, I can have fun and stuff, and I still roast. But it's like, it was just a thing I did, and comedy's always going to be the thing I love to do. I love roasting, but stand-up's my shit. So I don't want to be like, oh, I'm the roasting comedian. I just want to be like a comic, but they know I can roast. And it's nice too, because I just like it's a nice ring to. Sorry. Spreading
Now you're
corona.
literally literally the first person on Wheel of the Laughs to actually get COVID.
Hilarious.
That's awesome. And so that's
I
awesome.
like my credits. It's nice now. You know what I mean? I feel like
Yeah,
I earned them, so it's like Showtime doc, paid
yeah,
regular at the Comedy Store, and then it's like roast battle champ. So it's like
yeah.
not only did I win this dope thing when I was really young, but I also stayed at the store and worked hard to get past become a paid regular. Also, one of the main reasons I stayed at the store. Um, and then now
Did
it's like the next
did
steps.
did did other competitors on the show, did like it cause resentment with other competitors on the show?
No, all those people were like still my best friends. Like we still go to
Okay.
barbecues and you know any jobs or any offers I get or anything that I could. I know I'm gonna need my friends. Like those are
Yeah.
that's my class of people. That so anything that comes up, I'm gonna only try to help my friends succeed.
Okay. Yeah. And then one last thing about the roast battle. So you win, you sit there, you still go. How like in that time span? How long was it from you winning roast battle to you actually quitting as a door guy? Like, did you actually quit, or did they say like, "Hey, we gotta let you go"?
Well, so it was we all got laid off because of COVID. So that was like the
Okay.
final. That was like, hey, we're furloughing everybody. If you guys want to
Yeah.
come back when we open, you can. But it was great for me because I wanted to quit for the longest time. My wife
Yeah.
was like, no, keep the job. Like there was little,
Mm.
like I literally had. There was a night where I had Rogan, Mo
Mm.
Amer, and another really funny comic just kind of sitting there telling me that I need to quit, that I need to like stop staying and stop working at the store
Yeah.
'cause it's a safety net, and I need to just make the fucking jump and like be about my shit, start my
Yeah.
podcast, and just fucking not have a boss finally.
It's
And I
definitely a
was just
bold
kind of
move.
like, yeah, it is. But now, I mean, as weird as it sounds, with COVID going on, it's like this is the happiest
Mm.
I've been and the most confident I've been in my career.
Wow. But you don't really hear that much from comics right now, especially during COVID. Like, especially since all of us aren't really like out there doing shows or working and
And that's the
stuff in
thing
the
is,
LA area. So
it's like, COVID is shutting down all the comedy clubs. There's still outside shows going on,
mm.
and it's basically like this. This is the thing that I had to kind of come to terms with myself is like, listen, Frank, comedy may or may not come back for 5 years. And that's how you made all your money. So are you going to move back home? Are you going to get a real job? Or are you going to just try to figure out what the next step is and make it work? So
Mm.
the pivot for me was, Buddies, my podcast, which is all about weed. And I know a lot of weed. I know a lot about weed. My co-host is like the youngest buyer at a dispensary. All my
Mm.
friends work in the marijuana industry, for really big companies or they own
Mm.
companies and stuff. So it was just kind of like this idea I've had, and then I'm finally putting it together, and it ended up working. This
Mm.
podcast is finally, starting to make a little money, which is great.
Yeah.
And it was just then it was like, am I going to be scared and terrified and just let this debilitate me, or am I going to figure out what the next move is and try to succeed?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like with comics, you definitely know which ones are destined to make it by the persistence and the patience that they have, and
Yeah.
basically the courage they have to get up there. And it like you can bomb like 8 million times. If you get up there 8 million and one, you succeeded. And I'm glad that you found a way to actually still do what you love to do and still do another thing that you love to do and make money off of it. Cause like that's just like the winning combination, and that's just basically being successful and stuff.
Yeah.
So okay, so you got and winning the roast battle and stuff. You got an experience that most comics now like would basically kill 20 people for, and
Hmm.
that's the Joe Rogan Experience.
Hmm.
Now, you got to do that about like in 2017, and it was weird because I remember watching that episode when it first aired, and nobody knew who you were. Like
Hmm.
really, like I mean, they watch roast battle, but like people's attention spans is literally like today and tomorrow.
Hmm.
Um, so it was crazy like watching you on there because it seemed like you were so approachable. Like
Hmm.
and people like could see you on there and be like, man, that's a dude that was working the door at the comedy store. Like last night,
Mm-hmm.
and he on Joe Rogan now. Like, and now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's crazy because now, like, Joe Rogan is like Joe Rogan. Anybody on Joe Rogan now is basically like a superstar. So I guess my first question about that is, how does it feel having a better episode than Kanye on Joe Rogan
Hilarious.
podcast?
Hilarious. Hilarious.
like,
It was, I
I
mean,
watched that.
the Rogan one, it really changed my whole life. You know, I got more followers doing Rogan's thing than
Mm,
when I did Roast Battle and then when I did the Showtime documentary, you know?
yeah,
Like, added together. Like, Rogan, like, is the dude. It getting validated by that guy and then also getting validated by a place that he respects so much, and in the doc being such a big part of it now, it gave me a lot of confidence. It really did,
yeah,
and it really makes you believe in yourself and everything that you're like I'm doing and I'm creating. Um, because it's like you said, it's like I'm still that genuine guy. I'm still that very approachable dude, you know. And I think if I put that into everything I create and stay genuine, it's only going to succeed.
oh yeah, definitely, definitely, man. Like, you're definitely one of those people, one of those comics that like, no matter if you were just the opener getting 3 minutes or a headliner doing like 45 minutes, you definitely feel like you would be just a guy like that, easy to talk to, and just like is because you know everybody's experience and know where everybody's been. Like you basically are genuine and basically will go up to anybody and just like not act like you're Hollywood. Cause I know a bunch of times I've been to the Comedy Store and I've seen Joe Rogan. I've seen Joe Rogan there a few times, and sometimes he's like pretty friendly, and then other times he's in a rush, like trying to get out there. I seen like at least 4 or 5 people trying to ask Joe Rogan for an autograph one time or a picture. Wouldn't even talk to him, just ran out. And so,
Yep.
but like there's things that there's a lot of comics like that. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
comics that aren't really approachable, and then there's comics that are approachable. You just gotta, I mean, you never know what's going on in a person's day. So, I mean, you just gotta take that as is. But with you, it always seems like you can easily like just DM you like you really like you have like 8 million things going on, but you make it seem like you have nothing going on. And
Yeah, yeah. It's the power of weed.
oh yeah, definitely. And I didn't know it was just because you were like high tripping balls on mushrooms,
Oh yeah,
but
most of the time.
but yeah, no, like all right, let's get started. Let's get into the Comedy Store documentary that's currently on Showtime right now. You can watch it every Sunday. Not a shameless plug, but I mean they're not paying me for it either. But it's cool, like because I watched you on that documentary for the past like 2 or 3 episodes
Mm-hmm.
now, and I think it's amazing just watching your rise on such a landmark documentary like that because the first episode was great. The second episode was even better, and then the third episode, you really got to learn a lot about the changes from comedy and how it transitioned in like the early 2000s to like now.
Mm-hmm.
Because not a lot of people remember that like during the recession and everything like that, comedy wasn't really
Mm-mm.
as big as it
It was
is
dead.
now.
Yeah.
Like it was dead. Especially the Comedy Store. Comedy Store, you could walk there like 2004, and it was kind of hit or miss. Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it'd be packed, and then other times it'd be dead empty and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I like your rise. Like, did they come up to you and was just like, hey, like we're doing this documentary and we kind of want to have you a part of it, or was it just kind of like a
It
like
all just kind
fate?
of it was kind of just fate, you know. I know Mike Binder, he's a great dude, love him to death. He used to be a door guy. They were kind of shooting this documentary, and it was just kind of right time, right place, you know. Um, they filmed me getting passed. We had to reenact it because the night that I did get passed, they weren't rolling the cameras. But also, like I don't think Adam knew he was going to pass me at the time. Like I know
Yes.
he was thinking about it, but I think my last set really made it to where he was like, I got to pass Frank.
Mm-hmm.
So when he finally passed me, dude, I cried. I cried
Yeah.
a lot,
Yeah, I
bro.
saw it.
Like it was.
We saw it.
Well, no, no,
Like everybody saw it.
that was me reenacting it. But like the
Okay.
actual time that I got passed, I cried like a lot. I hugged
Yeah.
him. Like, dude, it was like, yeah, and yeah, it was. I mean, he passed me in the same place that he hired me as a door guy. So it was like, yeah,
Yeah.
it was just a very serendipitous. Um, and
Yeah, that's definitely That's definitely that's yeah, that's a that was a moment because I even
No.
watched it. And I even watched it and I was just like, I don't know if they're gonna pick him or not, cause like I mean they kind of like, you know how in
Mm-hmm.
documentaries sometimes they build up the suspense. It's like maybe they'll pick him. I was like, I don't see why they wouldn't pick him. And then Adam comes up to you and just like kind of gives you the, yeah, well, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
we had some moments and oh yeah, you get picked. It's just like
Yeah.
whoa, like
Yeah. No, it
okay,
was.
great.
Yeah, it
So
was. It was a great feeling, man. And it also feels cool to see them. The way they're building it up seems nice because they built up how it was back in the day, all the legends that have been produced from this club, and then they show the
mm,
current guys and how hard it is and how
yeah,
much they love the club and how hard it is to get in there. And then they show me
yeah,
getting past. And then they talk about Rogan, and then they show me on Rogan making them laugh.
yeah,
And I think in the
yeah,
final episode, it's going to be me and the director talking about the importance of getting past and what it means to me and stuff. So
yeah.
I think this documentary is going to make me look fucking dope.
Yeah, you definitely. I definitely need to get your autograph, like COVID style. Like, I need you to email it to me.
Perfect.
I need you to email me the autograph so we can sit there and put it on a wall or something like that. So we can start. You'll be our first comic to actually get an autograph on the wall or something.
Yeah.
And everything. So, but yeah, no, I definitely like how the documentary is like showing your rise through comedy. Basically, like started from nothing and turning it into something. So that's always a good thing to have. You got a podcast right now called Buddies,
Mm-hmm.
and I know we talked about it like a few minutes ago, but so basically, like you just bring people in, talk about weed for about like what 2 3
Sort of.
hours.
So it's like at the Comedy Store they have this thing called Sacred Ground in the back of the Comedy Store where it's kind of like the smoking area where everyone who goes that's only comics and only paid regulars and employees are allowed to go back there. So like that's where everyone goes to smoke weed, cigars. It's like a chill place, and I wanted to create a place a podcast that had that same vibe.
Mm,
So we have guests come on. It's me and my co-host JP. We smoke like the best weed that we found, because we like really pay attention and we like study who's like growing the best shit and all that jazz. Like we
mm.
really do our due diligence. We smoke about an ounce every episode. It's pretty ridiculous. He rolls joints that have an eighth in them.
Yeah,
And then, we just have a good hour conversation, hour and a half free flowing. We just get lit. It's a lot of fun. We had Felipe Esparza, Josh Wolf.
yeah,
We had Jerobi White from Tribe Called Quest, and Chris Riggins,
yeah,
very funny comic from San Francisco, good friend of mine. So it feels good to have like a fun podcast. We shoot it in Beverly Hills at this mansion. Uh, it, yeah, it's fucking wild. High rise studios is the ones that put it on for us. But 5 months ago we were in my living room. Now we're in a mansion shooting it in
So
Beverly
we moving on
Hills.
up. We moving
Yeah,
up. We
yeah.
moving
And
on up, baby.
we have weed sponsors now, which is great. So it's like
Yeah,
not only do we
yeah.
not have to pay for any weed, now we can just do this podcast, and people are starting to weed companies are starting to hit us up for advertising, which is great. So soon
Mm,
it's like it'll be nice to make money and not have to pay for weed anymore, which
yeah,
is
yeah.
which
I
is the top
definitely agree. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Weed sponsors are the best sponsors right now. They're the ones paying the most money. I don't smoke weed, but if you guys, if a weed company wants to sponsor me or anything like that, that's great. Like, I'll even take the marijuana, I guess, and I'll give it to other people or something like that. But yeah, I'll definitely take that. But all right, so let's kind of wrap this up a little bit. Like, tell me what your thoughts on the future of comedy.
um I think the future of comedy is still going to be good. I don't think inside shows. I think in California at least, inside shows won't be around for a few years. I think other places will still do inside shows, and I respect it. There's outside shows that'll be going on. I think it's going to be good. I think the gatekeepers will hopefully die. I feel like it's shown that COVID's really just destroyed the industry and the powers that be. Andrew Schultz has proved you don't need TV or the industry. You could do it yourself. Rogan's proved that podcasts can make you money.
Mm-hmm.
So I hopefully the industry that's pushing all these fucking losers that can't do 15 minutes on stage, in a club. Hopefully those fucking people just quit and just stick to TikTok. But I think, I think those people die out. The people that are like, you know, the
Yeah.
President Trump, it looks like a Cheeto, and then they get a fucking 5-page article write up in Vulture because it's the next best thing. I think hopefully those people will go away, and the real ones will still be doing comedy and still creating, and then
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Do you think the Comedy Store will still be around in 5 years?
absolutely. They own the
Mm.
building, they own the land, they'll always be around. They're adapting to what this future is going to be. I know a few of the projects they're working on. It's going to be dope. What's going to be coming out, but it's still, it's just not. It's not those open doors.
Like, I mean, I know you know that the Comedy Store is still going to be around. Do you think other famous comedy clubs are still going to be around?
I think a lot of famous comedy clubs are now facing the decision of it's facing the same decision a lot of other artists are being faced to right now. It's like, all right, well, if the thing that you usually do to make money is going to be you're not going to be able to do that for at least 5 years, what are you going to do to stay relevant and change it up? So hopefully these other clubs figure it out. They have all the broadcasting equipment. They need to be switching over and making their own digital content. And I think that's the only way that these places are going to survive right now.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree on that part. Like, you got to find some way. If this is really what you want to do, you got to find a way to do it. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's the only way. I feel like the whole pandemic and everything just basically showed us
Yeah.
who
All the
really wants
good,
to be a comic and who
yeah.
doesn't.
All the good comics started podcasts. All the bad ones got on TikTok.
Yeah, I can't stand TikTok. And I think I can't stand it because I officially became old about it. So,
Yeah.
because it's just like, I don't get it. like, I finally had my get off my lawn moment with TikTok as soon as TikTok arrived.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. And then, I mean, I've seen comics on there doing it, and it's really kind of weird. It's not even really comedy to me, but hey,
Yeah.
like if it's making you money, I can't knock it.
Oh no, you can. You can
Find a
knock. Yeah, you
niche.
can knock it. Don't be afraid to knock it.
You can't knock somebody's hustle for making money. So,
No,
but I
absolutely
mean,
not. You can still make someone make fun of someone. They got $30,000. You know what I mean? Like you can
yeah,
still make fun of
yeah,
them. They're still gonna have that money.
yeah. It's just like, man, you're like 5 steps away from just making an OnlyFans page. Like, come
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
man. Like, yeah. I
Listen,
guess. All right.
I don't feel sorry for women that aren't making money right now. It is the best time to be a woman ever. You could just sell the socks you're wearing to some dude for hundreds of dollars.
That's actually kind of true.
If
And
you
they'll
for
buy
real,
it.
bro, dude, there's
And they'll buy
sixes
it.
dancing on
Yeah,
TikTok making fucking rent right now. It's like
man,
if you're
killing
not
it.
doing anything to make money, it's like come on.
Yeah, that's definitely,
Yeah.
definitely facts and stuff. All right, so okay, so I want to ask you this question, and I feel like I know one part of this answer, but I want to know the other three. Okay, so if you can pick one comedy club in the world to actually host a show at, and you need to pick 3 other acts to perform with you, who would they be?
Ooh, Comedy Cellar. Um,
I thought you were gonna
Mo.
say Comedy Store.
Yeah, Mo Amer for sure.
Oh, okay.
Uh, Chappelle, and then probably Rogan.
Okay. And how would you do the lineup? Who would you have open in your 2 features and then you headlining, of course?
Oh, it'd be me hosting, Mo featuring, and then it'd be Rogan and Chappelle. Probably Rogan first, and then Chappelle.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Okay. And then if you could change one thing about the world of comedy, what would it be?
The world of comedy.
Yeah.
I wish comedy journalists never existed, and I wish white women did not count as a diversity.
Okay. Okay. Definitely didn't see that answer coming. So, okay. All right. So last but certainly not least, we're gonna do this thing that we do normally to end our shows. Okay, we want your opinion. We're gonna throw out 2 comedians, and we need you to pick which one you prefer. Okay, this is just your preference and stuff. It's not gonna sit there. We're not gonna judge you about basically saying like, oh, you gotta
Yeah,
pick
yeah, 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 yeah.
this
No, no, I
person.
got you.
So okay, so I'll just start naming the names. Okay, number 1, Joe Rogan or Bill Burr.
It's tough. That's a draw, man. That's like you're gonna have to shoot me in the head
You
for
gotta
that
pick
one.
one.
That's
You gotta
tough.
pick one. You gotta pick
I
one.
mean, damn. I gotta go with Rogan.
Okay, Joe Rogan. Okay, he's okay. So next one,
Only
Felipe.
because I've been on Rogan's podcast. No, I'm just gonna go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. You kind of gotta throw that stab in at Bill. You ain't put me on your podcast yet, man. Come on, man. I would have picked you if you'd have put me on your podcast.
Yeah.
But okay, so Felipe Esparza or Jesus Torrejo?
How you gonna make me pick against my fucking big brother like that? It's
Hey.
so tough. Ah, I gotta go Felipe.
Okay. Okay.
And
All
it
right.
hurts.
He said it hurts. You definitely lost a friend on that one. When he watches
Yeah.
this, when he watches this, he gonna be like, I don't want you to call me, nothing. No,
Yeah.
I don't want nothing from you. Nothing. All right. So Jeff Ross or Tony Hinchcliffe?
Tony Hinchcliffe? Fuck.
Hinchcliffe, sorry.
That's a tough one. God, dude, it's like you're making me pick between all my friends.
I'm trying to kill your friendships
Oh
right
my
now.
God.
They definitely gotta watch this. So they definitely gotta watch this. That's why I picked them. So they can watch
I'm burying this podcast. I'm burying this podcast. You know, Jeff gave me my big shot, but also Tony. Like, both of them have helped me so much. That's the tough part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tony only because he's almost seen me shit my pants, and I don't think Jeff's ever seen that.
That's definitely a story for another day. Okay, Angela Johnson or Whitney Cummings?
Whitney Cummings.
Okay. Kevin Hart or Jamie Foxx?
Jamie Foxx.
Definitely a sleeper. Definitely a sleeper. I feel like Jamie Foxx is definitely underrated. I really wish he would come out with another special. I feel like with this time, he definitely would kill this market and everything with his style of comedy. And shout out, special condolences to Jamie Foxx. He just lost his sister, Deandra, to an illness. Just wanted to send our thoughts and prayers to him and his family real quick. So our prayers are with you, Jamie. Thank you. All right, the last but not least, Frank Castillo or George Lopez?
I mean, Frank Castillo. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Why would you pick George?
Yeah.
I can't wait for George to see this, and then he definitely wants to do a roast battle with you. And then,
I will text this to him myself.
He said, "Guess what, George? Guess what? I saw you. Like, what's up? It's gonna happen." But all right, Frank, thank you, man. Thank you for doing this podcast. We truly appreciate it. It's a true honor just listening to your story and watching you rise in comedy. It's truly an honor for me because I'm definitely a big fan of yours.
Thank you so much, man.
Continue to watch Frank on Showtime's the Comedy Store documentary, only on Sundays. Man, if you ain't got Showtime, steal it from somebody on a Fire Stick and watch it because it's truly an amazing documentary. If you're a comedy lover, this is definitely the documentary for you. Watch or listen to, or do you watch? You can watch, but
you can watch and listen to it. Yeah, it's on YouTube and on iTunes.
Okay, yeah. Watch Buddies, hosted by Frank Castillo and his partner in crime, JP Noda. Mm-hmm. And is it once a week, or how many times you guys release?
We release every Sunday at 4:20.
Okay, every Sunday at 4:20. If you don't know that, then you're probably not a pothead. Thank you guys for watching another episode of We on the Last with Tyson Paul. I'm your host, Tyson Paul. Hope to see you guys again on another episode. And remember to keep laughing at life because it's actually pretty funny. All right, thanks, Frank. See you later, man.
Thanks, bro. Have a good one.